All right, we're good.
Okay, so happy Thursday, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
It's Maria and Corey. We are not with Life Source Hospice today, unfortunately, but we're going to talk about the market shift.
We are.
And we think that's pretty interesting and it's significant for anybody who's buying or selling.
Well, yeah, it's been such a seller's market for the past year and a half during the pandemic. I mean, interest rates are still pretty low. We've seen them creep up and kind of come back down and creep up a little bit. So there could be a little bit of a shift there, but there is more of a dynamic shift that seems to be going on.
Yeah. So, don't get us wrong, it is still very much a seller's market. The inventory is still low, but things have gotten less chaotic.
It
Less
is.
frantic.
Yeah, I mean, as a buyer's agent and working with a lot of buyers, like I'm seeing that that first-time home buyer inventory is still coming on and going off right away. There's a lot of upper end, move-up buyers, larger family sort of properties that have been coming on that might be sitting a little bit longer because it's not for everybody. But yeah, there's definitely been, a little bit of a shift. But from when it used to be, there were 12, 15, 20 offers on a property. Now we're, more in the realm of, hey, there's 3 to 4, 2 to 3, maybe 5 offers that are coming in. So it's not as competitive. It still is, but it's not as competitive, and buyers don't need to put themselves out there as far as they did, for the past year and a half to be able to get into a property.
Yeah, absolutely. And two things about that. So, sellers really need to um, check in with what the market's doing and not price higher than anticipated. I mean, the magic of the market was if you price accurately, you're going to have multiple offers and it'll bid itself up.
Of course.
Because either everybody's bidding over asking price or nobody's bidding over asking price because they don't have to.
Right.
So that's one thing. Tell us, the other thing we're seeing a change in is what happens after a home inspection. So, or even before a home inspection. So talk to us
Right.
about that.
So during the past year and a half, inspections have been a huge point of I don't know what to call it. Negotiation. Right. It's a big negotiation tool to say, hey, you know what? We're gonna just waive all the inspections on this, and we'll take care of anything that we find. Or hey, we're gonna set a really high threshold for hey, $5,000 worth of inspections we're gonna take care of. I'm not seeing as much of that being a necessity. Now, listen, if you want to make your offer top of the pile, you still got to put in, what you think is best and what the sellers want to see. But it doesn't seem to be as needed as it was as a good negotiating tool and to kind of bring you to the top of that stuff.
Yeah, and because the stack's shorter, there are fewer people doing that. So out of those 3-4 offers, you may have nobody limiting, either waiving or limiting the inspection.
Right.
So you don't have to.
Right.
And that's a question I'm hearing agents ask.
And that percentage that people are having to bid over asking seems to be getting smaller. And looking at some of the sold properties from a couple months ago, instead of 10, 20, 30% over, it's like 5% over or 6 or 7% over. So it's a smaller portion now that still most homes are still going over asking. I mean, that's kind of still a given in most cases, but it's not as big of a delta between where the start is and where it's going to end.
Yeah. The other dynamics that are changing, we're seeing more homes be removed from the market. So what does this mean? At the heat of the market, everything was selling very, very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And now those people that are testing the waters and not selling the home in the first couple of weeks, we're seeing a higher percentage of those come right off the market and
Right.
just, okay, we tried it, it didn't work, we're pulling out of here.
You know what? If you give me this price, I'm going to sell my house.
Yeah, exactly.
And nobody's giving you that price, so they're kind of backing off. It is like a testing the water sort of thing.
Yeah. So a higher percentage are coming off like that, and more properties or fewer properties are going under contract. So they're just fewer of them.
Mm-hmm.
Both of those dynamics are playing into this softer market that we're seeing. So again, it's still a seller's market,
It's still a seller's market.
right?
It absolutely is.
6-7 months worth of inventory is the dividing line, and we're far below that still.
Right.
But it's just a lot less frantic, a lot. It's a softer market.
Right. I mean, you still have to engage with, somebody like me, somebody like Maria, to be able to still have that advantage in any sort of real estate market, whether it's a seller's market or a buyer's market. So you're still going to have somebody helping you through the process and making sure that you're on top of it. It's not like you can become lackadaisical, like, oh, I'll buy it if I want to, or hey, we'll get there next week to see it. Like, that's still not going to work, because that's never going to work in a market. But it's just not as crazy and auction style and just people getting completely frantic over things like it was that we saw, for the past year and a half.
Yeah. So speaking of auction style,
Yeah.
our friends at Zillow have
Yeah.
made a change.
They have made a change. So Zillow announced that they are going to stop buying houses. They started this process, I think, in either 2019 or early 2020. And they said, look, we're going to start buying houses. We're going to put that buy it now icon, just like you saw in like eBay or whatever else. Here, you know what? You can get a CRM, and this is what the value is. We're going to buy this house at this price from you right now. Zillow has said that they are going to pare down and stop doing it. So that's seeming like there's going to be a change in the market. Maybe they're pulling back. Maybe they don't want to have as much inventory out there because there's not as many buyers. Maybe that's an interest rate thing, but it is something that could be a huge factor in the market, going forward in the next 6 months and year to see what happens with it.
Yeah, and I think all of that plays into what all of the market experts and financial experts are saying, where we've seen these fairly significant run up in price over 2020 and 2021. That pace is going to decelerate. So it's not like prices are going to roll back.
Right, it's still going to be there.
They're still going to increase. They're just going to increase at on average, they think 5.5% next year. I mean, some experts are saying as high as 8, some as low as 3. But 5.5 seems to be the average of what they're guessing next year's price increase will be. This year's, again, the average 12%. So last year, same. So the average will be it'll be a much more modest gain, but a gain nonetheless.
Yeah.
And without that cushion, now you can't do those instant buys on Zillow, right? Well,
Right.
if they're not anticipating this, but the curve comes down like this.
Right. It's not going to be, so Zillow is not a company that was set up like a bank. A bank doesn't want to own real estate. Zillow doesn't want to own real estate because they're not a real estate company. They're a real estate marketing company, facilitating company. So them having that inventory and the potential of it sitting longer, because there aren't as many price increases, there's not as much of an auction style, that could be an indicator as to, things slowing down a little bit, paring down a little bit. Like Maria said, it's still going to be a seller's market. We're still looking at, increases in price of, 5%, whatever it may be, versus last year where it was at 12, but it's starting to cool off a little bit.
Yeah. Now, all that being said, we're coming into holiday season, and it is a fantastic time to sell your home. Why? Because everybody says, oh, I shouldn't come out during the holidays. The buyers are still out there.
Oh, yeah.
They don't have a home for the holidays. They're still looking for houses.
That's right.
So when you can, any market is supply and demand. The supply generally goes down in, through November, December, even January, February, and again, weather will impact that somewhat, but if you can come on the market during this period, the buyers are still out there. So it's a great time for you to shine. You're not going to get lost in the mix when, there's this big run up in inventory. Everybody thinks you have to wait for the spring. Absolutely not true.
It's not going to be the same as 2020, but I'm sure that 2021 into 2022 is going to be close. Like, I had buyers that took like maybe a week off in between Christmas and New Year. That was the only time that we weren't looking for houses, all the way through the holiday season, because to your point, they're still in the market. They still have leases that are coming up. The rates are still low. They still want to get it out of their parents' house, whatever it is.
Yeah.
They still have that need. It's still there. So it is an optimal time. If you have thought about it and you continue to think about it and continue to, procrastinate whatever it is to get it on there, now is definitely a good time to do it.
Yeah, but interesting. I've heard from several clients lately about selling, and they were shocked because they you know, they knew they would be selling at some point in the future, but they really weren't the types that track with what's going on in the market.
Sure.
And when you know, when I was called in to do an analysis and say, hey, this is what the house would sell for right now, they were shocked and delighted. So, yeah, so that's always a good thing.
Yeah, no,
always
of course.
good news to bring. So if you are curious, we're happy to do an analysis,
Absolutely.
tell you what's happening right now. Any questions about the market? We're here. Thanks for being with us.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. Happy Halloween.